the only way for you to be right with God is by God's grace. Is by God sovereignly choosing to give you what you could never deserve, what you could never earn, what you could never initiate. That's why the only right response to this revelation of God is faith. And faith is to look away from yourself, to look at who He is and what He has said, and fall on your face and trust Him. When we know that God saves by His sovereignty and grace, then we give up all hope in ourselves and we beat our breasts like the repentant tax collector and say, God, have mercy on me, the sinner. We receive and rest in grace. We abandon every ounce of self-trust. And we cry out for Him to give what He promises by His grace. And then we can marvel. We can marvel. Marveled in all the world that had spread after the Tower of Babel, all these languages and all of this paganism all across the lands, that God, marvel at that God reached down to Abraham in his paganism in Mesopotamia and He said, I'm going to save you. I'm going to take you out of there. That's what God does. And then we should in turn marvel that God has reached into Roanoke, Virginia, and He has brought the gospel of His grace for you to hear. For you to hear that. Think of that. Out of the billions of people on the planet now and all through history, you've heard me say that many times, but just think, this God of glory, and all the billions, they do not know this God of glory. They do not know that His glory is revealed in Jesus Christ. But God has brought that good news to you. Why? Why you? Why me? You know Jesus is God the Son who came from earth. You know He lived an absolutely sinless life. You know He went to the cross and suffered and died for sin and paid that penalty so that we could be forgiven. You know He rose in victory. Why do you know that? You heard it today. You've likely heard it many times. What a terrible offense against God to take that lightly. How tragic to think I've heard that my whole life. Meh. How tragic to hear of Jesus and not be riveted every day with gratitude. To say, God, who moves in His sovereignty and His grace, He reached down here now and rescues a sinner like Abraham, like me.